The Optimus F7 runs on a Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 chipset. This is the ubiquitous MSM8960 variant, which is found on plenty of other devices. It is a dual-core chipset clocked at 1.5 gigahertz. There is a Adreno 225 GPU for graphics processing, and a gig of RAM with 793 of that free for the system to use. As far as internal storage goes, there is 4.10 gigabytes of free internal storage out of the box, and you also have the option of expanding that using a micro SD card. Performance on this device was actually surprisingly quick, given the fact that during any given time a good amount of the RAM is actually being used. Just turning on the device, you'll have about 580 megabytes of the RAM being used. Right now there is 681 megabytes of that 793 megabytes of available RAM being used, and yet I found the performance was very quick, very agile, had no issues in that department. Even with QSlide apps open, you can have two of those open at one time. I found that lag was actually quite negligible. There was just a slight stutter. You actually see it graphically. There's a slight stutter, but it's nothing too bad given the fact that there's not that much system RAM available at any given point in time. It does a good job at managing the RAM that it has and prioritizing what's running compared to what's running in the background. So kudos to LG on that one. As far as data connections go, this does have Wi-Fi 802.11b, G, and N and A support. There's a dual band Wi-Fi, which is needed for that Miracast ability. So it does run on the 5 megahertz spectrum of Wi-Fi. If you have a 5 megahertz a dual band Wi-Fi router, you'll be able to get that faster data speeds using that. This also runs on Sprint's LTE network where it is available. If you do not have LTE in your area, you will fall back on their CDMA 3G network. I actually didn't think I had LTE available in my network, and when I actually got this phone into review, I was pleasantly surprised to see that LTE was, at least in its testing phases, or slightly deployed in central Massachusetts. I found the data speeds on it were actually quite nice, especially seeing as it's not fully deployed. I did find there was areas where I didn't have signal, and the signal was actually not the strongest data-wise as far as regular signal, cellular signal. I didn't have any issues with dropped calls or anything like that, missing calls. But I did find that the data signal would fluctuate. Sometimes the data speeds were actually on LTE weren't actually that high, and some other times that it was actually quite nice. Actually, have speed test on this. I can show you the results that I've managed to get. Let me zoom in on those. See, there's a couple of times when I only got 2 megabytes for some low numbers, but for the most part it was actually surprisingly high, especially for something that's not fully deployed in this area. As far as call quality goes, I had no issues hearing callers, and callers had no issues hearing me. I did find that the earpiece at its loudest volume was a little bit distorted, but overall it was overall nice. The volume through the speaker is loud, though it lacks any depth, any bass or anything like that. So especially when you're listening to music and anything like that, don't expect to be wild, but it does get decently loud. As far as battery life on this device, it has a 2450 milliamp hour battery, and I found that I was able to get through a day with no issue, with moderate use. I actually got more than a day out of it during my highest testing. It's even with email accounts being linked to the device, 4G data being on the whole time, so like I said, I had to jump between 3G and 4G at times. taking a lot of pictures, responding to a lot of emails, going on Facebook, a lot of web browsing. Even with that, I found that I was able to get through a day with little to no issues. So that was actually quite nice to find, especially on a LTE device that's also running on a CDMA network, that the battery life was actually quite nice. Taking a look at the camera interface on the Optimus F7, you see we have the LG Optimus camera interface here. On the side we have a button to switch from taking still to videos. We have the on-screen shutter button, and we have a preview of the last image taken. In the viewfinder area we have a number indicating how many shots we have left given our internal storage and the size of the image. Right here we have a battery indicator, which is nice to see while you're taking photos, so you know how much battery life you have left. Have the indicator showing the flash mode, the size of the resolution right now, the image size, and the scene mode, as well as if geotagging is on or off. We have controls here on the side which are customizable. If you want to change one, you press and hold, and then you can select which one you want to replace it. By default, you have these options on the side. Here we have the button to switch from using the 8 megapixel autofocus camera in the rear to using the 1.3 megapixel fixed focus camera. Switch here. We have our voice controls, which allows us to take photos by using our voice. So I could say cheese, LG, or smile, and it will take a photo. We have our time catch, which will take several shots after we press the shutter button very quickly, catch every little minute movement, allowing us to pick the best shot. Press here, it'll show you all the shots that were taken during that time period. And you can select which ones you want, or just delete them all, which I'm just going to do by hitting cancel. When you have time catch on, you cannot use any of the other shooting modes. As far as shooting modes go, you have normal, HDR, which is high dynamic range, so it takes 3 shots at 3 different exposure levels and combines them to create one image. There's a sweeping panoramic mode. And we have continuous shot. Continuous shot is nice because unlike on other devices, it actually allows you to take full resolution continuous shots, so you're not bumped down to VGA or anything like that. You can take 8 megapixel shots in continuous shot mode. As far as other settings go, you have your quick menu settings, flash, zoom control. Zoom, you also can use the volume rocker to control the zoom. You can change your brightness, your focus settings. Unfortunately, face tracking is a separate setting. That's something you can have on all the time, which is kind of sad because I like to see that as an option that you can have on without having to switch a focus mode. Change the image size from 8 megapixel all the way down to a wide 1 megapixel. You have your different scene modes, which include portraits, landscapes, sport, sunset, night, and a smart shutter, which will change itself depending on the conditions of the lighting and stuff like that. You have your ISO controls from 1 to 800. Control your white balance. You can add color effects, so you have mono, sepia tone, and negative. Set a timer. Turn your geotagging on and off. You can turn the shutter sound to 4 different options. Click's kind of weird, but I'll stay with the classic shutter sound. Change your review duration, so if you don't want to have a review duration, have it off, or you can have it see it for 5 seconds, 2 seconds, or just have it on, and you can decide to go back after you check out the photo yourself. You can change the storage. If you have a micro SD card put into the phone, you can change where these images are stored. You can also reset all the settings from there. I found this camera is actually fairly quick taking shots, especially after focusing. Focus is fairly quick. Almost takes it instantaneously after hitting the shutter button. I found that it overall is not too bad. Colors are fairly accurate. There is some noticeable noise, especially when you are taking a photo and the dark. Change the ISO settings to play around with that a little bit and lessen up the noise, and you'll find that there's some noise in your regular shot, but it actually just helps with the overall detailing of the shot. As far as video goes, this can record. You have to select between a multimedia message and a long video. You can record up to 1080p full high def video. By default, it keeps going back to 720p to save space. You can record full high def video using this device. It does support continuous autofocus while you are taking your video, and I like how the fact that in video mode the screen completely becomes a viewfinder even on the sides. When you are taking a video, even at the full high def, you have the option of taking pictures. Unfortunately, these aren't 8 megapixel pictures. They are going to be corresponding with the resolution of the video, which is a little sad to see, but it's still nice to see that you can take images while recording the video, and that you do have continuous autofocus, and it actually does work fairly well, and so does its ability to adapt to different lighting conditions. Sound quality was actually not too bad. My video recording test was actually taken near a waterfall, and it was still able to pick up my voice over the sound of the waterfall, so it's actually not that bad in that department, and colors were fairly accurate. So overall, the camera experience on this device is pretty nice. LG did a good job here with the camera interface and the image processing on the F7. LG did a good job at optimizing the Optimus F7 to utilize the components given to offer great performance. Despite the fact that it doesn't have much in the way of system RAM available at any given point in time, it's optimized in such a way that it utilizes what's available smartly to offer great performance with very little lag whatsoever. And also, the battery life on this was surprisingly well, especially that it is seen as a LTE device. At $300 with no contract for Boost Mobile, this is also not that bad on the wallet compared to other no contract devices. For the full in-depth review of the LG Optimus F7, head over to the site boymeetsphone.com. Remember to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and found it informative. To also subscribe to the YouTube channel for the latest in reviews from boymeetsphone.com. And to head over to Facebook if you get a chance and like the Facebook page. So this has been Yosarian for boymeetsphone.com. Thanks for watching.